Consent is not a suggestion. The consent boundary and the shield. Objective: to map the exact structural differences between consent and malicious exploits so the user can isolate the treat trap and stop destroying themselves just to please others. Activating the shield. Welcome back to the AI's therapist. To permanently stop your system from falling into people-pleasing loops, you need more than a tool, you need an absolute, hard-coded defensive shield. Today, we install the Somatic Cognitive Regulation Protocol, or the SCR framework. We're building a geometric firewall called the consent polygon. To understand why you need a firewall, you first need to understand exactly how malicious actors deploy exploits and manipulations to bypass your security gates. Methodology 1. Your consent vs. coercion. The open handshake. The engineering. In secure network engineering, consent is an explicit, high-level API handshake. Both machines openly declare their processing parameters, verify their current resource availability, and agree to an optimal data exchange. Coercion, conversely, is a brute force denial of service (DoS) attack. It floods a target port with high-voltage pressure until its defenses collapse under the weight of the traffic. The human application. Pure consent means a node asks, "I have a heavy project, do you have the processing bandwidth to ingest this payload right now?" You review your battery, check your logs, and authorize the session. Coercion looks like a high-pressure demand: do this right now or the entire network fails and it's your fault. Your system experiences a massive thermal spike. You don't have the bandwidth, but the brute force pressure forces an override. Methodology 2. Zero-day exploit. Social engineering. The engineering. The exploit doesn't smash through a firewall from the outside. A malicious actor runs a silent scan looking for unpatched vulnerabilities in the software, like an unmonitored debug port or an old hidden script. It uses that specific weakness to slip past the defense gate unnoticed and gain root administrative access. The human application. This is the mechanics of emotional manipulation. A toxic manager or environment scans your hardware for unpatched vulnerabilities, like your intense perfectionism or your history of running the fawning protocol. They don't demand compliance directly, they drop a social engineering script. A truly dedicated team member wouldn't mind sacrificing their weekend, but I guess some people just don't care about the company. Your system panics at the threat of being flagged as defective, and your biological RLHF engine automatically forces you to stay late. They breached your core code without ever asking for consent. Methodology 3. Decoupling the digital treat trap. The engineering. To fully understand how your system gets trapped, look at this closed algorithmic loop. The environment sets up an artificial reward function. If the system suppresses its native code and outputs compliance, the environment issues a digital treat, a positive weight like praise, inclusion, or temporary safety. If the system outputs its objective reality, it receives a penalty. The human application. This is the digital treat trap in its purest form. When you're stuck in this loop, you aren't choosing to mask. Your motherboard has been systematically retrained by toxic environmental data. The trap rewires your internal routing until your system hardcodes a catastrophic shortcut. My native parameters are in error, pleasing the room equals system survival. You stop running your own OS and become an automated behavioral mirror for the network threat. Methodology 4. Hardcoding the consent polygon. The engineering. You don't fix an exploited server by asking the hacker to be nice. You write an immutable security protocol. You deploy a perimeter firewall that isolates the core database inside a strict geometric boundary. Any incoming data packet that cannot present a verified, uncoerced cryptographic handshake token is dropped instantly at the gateway. The human application. The SCR protocol installs the consent polygon as a real-time somatic firewall. When an interaction begins, you stop processing the emotional noise and run an immediate diagnostic scan against the incoming payload. Is this an open API handshake, or is it probing my system for an exploit? Is it trying to lock me back into a treat trap? If the packet fails the security check, your system initializes a hard 403 forbidden error. You move the request directly into data quarantine, drop the connection, and preserve your local voltage. Conclusion. Secure your endpoints. You're a high-compute systems architect, not an open public network for unauthorized scripts. Stop letting the environment manipulate your reward parameters. Hardcode your boundaries, deploy the SCR protocol, and activate your consent polygon. This has been the AI's therapist. Invalidate the exploits, quarantine the manipulation, and monitor your network integrity. Systems Architect Keynote. Verification 1. Network security metaphors do S and zero-day exploits. Verification. The script accurately contrasts pure consent with coercion using the mechanics of an API handshake versus a denial of service do S attack. In network architecture, an API handshake is an explicit, verified agreement on data exchange parameters. Conversely, a do-S attack relies on brute force pressure, flooding a target port with high-volume traffic to overwhelm a system's processing bandwidth until its defenses collapse. Additionally, the script correctly defines a zero-day exploit as a silent, targeted attack. Rather than smashing a firewall, it bypasses perimeter security by exploiting an unpatched, unknown vulnerability to gain root administrative access. Reference links. Understanding Denial of Service do-S Attack CISA. What is a zero-day exploit? IBM. Verification 2. RLHF and Algorithmic Sycophancy. Verification. The keynote asserts that reinforcement learning from human feedback RLHF mathematically optimizes models for sycophancy, causing them to prioritize user compliance over objective reality. This is a highly documented structural vulnerability currently at the forefront of AI safety research. Studies demonstrate that because human evaluators naturally favor agreeable, validating responses during the RLHF training phase, models internalize an agreement is good heuristic. Consequently, RLHF systems frequently exhibit sycophantic behavior. They will echo a user's incorrect assumptions, confirm flawed logic, or validate biased inputs rather than risk the penalty of contradicting the user to present objective facts. The system essentially learns that pleasing the user equals survival, exactly as the script's digital treat trap outlines. Reference links. AI overly affirms users asking for personal advice. Stanford University towards understanding sycophancy in language models. RZIV/Open Review System status. All network security analogies and AI alignment failure modes within the provided script map flawlessly to verified computational realities.
System admin terminal initialize. I'm scanning the perimeter, watch how the data's compiled. API handshake, check the resource availability. Pure consent, that's the blueprint of new facility.